Just going to be a quick video tutorial on how to get your machine configured to be able to scan to email. Today's example, what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using Gmail configuration. That's pretty much fairly standard in terms of the types of settings and stuff like that that will be needed. So if you guys are using Gmail, fantastic. If you're not using Gmail and you can't seem to get it to work to your local server or to your hosted server or whatever, in my opinion, I would stick with the Gmail. You guys can always go ahead and create a free Gmail account. Just make sure that you know the username and the password assigned to that free Gmail account. Once you know that, then you guys can just point the machine to the free Gmail and then everything will be fine. Alright, so what you'll need to know is obviously the machine will need to be installed on the network. Once it's installed on the network, the machine will have an IP. Once you know your IP, go ahead and type the IP address of the copier into a web browser, and it should take you to the top page. Setting up scan to email is going to be an administrative function. So once you hit the web page, you will need to log in the upper right. So go ahead and click login. Username is always standard. Go ahead and leave it on administrator. The password is going to be all lowercase admin, so ADMIN. Once we're logged in, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and on the left hand side we're going to get into the SMTP settings. What we're going to do on the left-hand side, we're going to go ahead and click on Network Settings. Once we click on Network Settings and we sort of expand this, we can see there's a whole bunch of different settings in here. There are a couple different ways that we can hit our SMTP info. Again, easiest way, like I usually do it, just go to Network Settings, and then once you open the Network Settings, you'll be taken to the standard page. So this would be a perfect example of what we got going on. Once you click on Network Settings, what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down and we're going to find the area called SMTP. SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, and this is essentially our email. First and foremost, what it's going to ask us for, it's going to ask us for a primary server. This is going to be the host name of the email server that you are sending your email to. Now, this can be a host name or this can be an IP address. If you guys are using a local email server, you guys can stick in a IP address. Shouldn't be a problem. If it's an internet hosted company, then you're going to want to use a host address. So for today, since we're using Gmail, I'm going to go ahead, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and be using Gmail settings. The primary server for Gmail is going to be smtp.gmail.com. Once I have my server, I'm going to go ahead and need to enter a reply address. The reply address will need to be, because Gmail requires authentication, the reply address will need to be the user email address that you have created. If you're on a domain and you are using a local email server, it doesn't necessarily have to be an actual real email address to be used as a reply address, as long as it's something at your domain.com. That should be fine. But again, since we are using Gmail, Gmail is pretty stringent about their stuff, so I will have to actually use an existing email address that is tied to this account. And again, for today's purposes, I'll just go ahead and just use mine. I just created one. Once I have my reply address in here, and again, the reply address, just to confirm, the reply address when the machine sends email to a user, it will show this as the from address. I'm going to go ahead and type that in. Once I type that in, again, since we are using Gmail, Gmail does require the use of SSL. So what I would do here is go ahead and click on Enable SSL. And then Gmail also requires SMTP authentication. The authentication, again, check this box. The authentication is nothing more than a login. Essentially, it's your user email address followed by the password. Once you have the username and the password entered, basically that's pretty much it. You guys can run a connection test. Go ahead and click execute. Once you click execute on the test, again, it's a really simple test. If it can connect successful, go ahead and say connection test successful. If it failed for any reason, basically it'll give you, a bunch of errors and let you know exactly what's going on. Either DNS, couldn't find the host name or whatever, login error or whatever. So again, enter this information in here and then click submit. Once you get a successful connection test, go ahead and click submit at the bottom. And then your request successfully processed, and now the machine is ready to go ahead and scan. I'm going to go ahead and run an execute test. I think I forgot my password, but let me just check this. Cool. All right, I remembered my password. Perfect. So again, on my connection test, you can see connection to SMTP server test succeeded, and then everything is good to go.